Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We have a new and exciting webinar. It's always sunny in the multi-cloud. Today we'll be looking at visibility from infrastructure to applications using VMware Aria Operations and VMware Aria Operations for Applications. My name is Peter Hagenson. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager here at VMware. And I am privileged to be joined by my colleagues, Yogita Patil, who is a Technical Marketing Manager, and Tim George, who is also a Technical Marketing Manager. So just a quick look at the agenda. We have a quick introduction. We'll go through a brief product overview just for those of you who may not be familiar with VMware Aria Operations, and then we'll get into what's new in Aria Operations. Being one thing that I'm very excited about is the new Launchpad. That'll be shared by Yogita, and Tim will be showing the integration, the new integration for VMware Aria Operations and VMware Aria Operations for Applications. And then we'll have a brief time for any questions you might have. So let's get started. For those of you who aren't as familiar with VMware Aria Operations, I should say, it was previously called VMware vRealize Operations. And so you might notice the new branding that just came out in the product if you've updated. But really, what are we here for? And what we want to start with is, VMware Aria Operations helps you deliver performance to meet your business needs. We help you meet those SLAs that you define with your internal customers. We want to help you better use your existing resources, not just for cost and capacity purposes, but also improving your green score and working well within the environment. We can help you troubleshoot. So many customers over the years have talked to me about the fact that they need 5 or more tools to be able to troubleshoot well because their environment is so siloed. But our goal is to give you that visibility, to bring things together so that you can troubleshoot in a fast and efficient way. Fourth, we're going to help you manage costs. So looking at infrastructure costs, software costs, and then fifth is managing your risk. So making sure that you stay compliant while assuring performance. So we set out 3 phases that, with talking to our customer base, this is typically their journey through kind of operations management, where we start with a customer who's always manually putting out fires because they don't have the data depth or context that they need to understand what's going on in their environment. We often see this happen with customers who aren't using management tools or have basic out-of-the-box tools that don't have that contextual visibility. And when you start implementing a platform like VMware Aria Operations or the suite of VMware Aria products, what we can really do is pull you out of that step, bring you into a predictive and proactive kind of phase where you can see that something is going to go wrong, and you can spend your time working on that issue instead of always looking back and troubleshooting real time. And then the third phase, you'll see, it's customers that have developed trust for their system. They've set up the right automation, and you allow that system to make fixes for you. So with that, we say, okay, that's nice, Peter, but how do I get to that self-driving state? And so this is where I like to talk about the cloud operating model. in my mind, this is kind of the simplest way to diagram out what good looks like, which is, I think, is really important to look at, because until you have that definition of what you're kind of building, it can be hard to understand where the end state is. So, the cloud operating model is really, you look at where you build clouds, and you're able to use whatever cloud is appropriate for your application, and you're able to understand your core metrics like cost and performance, and see your environment from infrastructure to that application level, and be able to see how those metrics correlate to one another because of the context that you have. So we have seen customers who have successfully implemented the cloud operating model report back metrics such as, a 25% decrease in cloud spend, a 30% increase in productivity. We got other customers report back a 93% decrease in unplanned downtime and a 50% reduction in software costs. So, we talk about what good looks like. Let's talk about VMware Aria Operations as a product. And really how I see it is that we have kind of three key vectors that shape the operations landscape. And we've used these to kind of evolve and innovate VMware Aria Operations in a way that we believe will give you the platform you need to accelerate growth for your business. So first, we have the AI ML engine, which, making it more proactive based on the intelligent data platform. Then we have the two big market forces that we see from our customers, which is, cloud adoption and the need for a more open ecosystem. So to start, the platform really is based on 4 pillars. We look at continuous performance optimization. We want to, pillar 2 is efficient capacity and cost management. So making sure that your infrastructure is running for optimal consolidation, proactive planning, procurement. 4th pillar is app-aware intelligent remediation. So predict, prevent, and troubleshoot across the VMware cloud and multiple clouds, from the application to infrastructure, which we'll get to see Tim do in just a few minutes. And then finally, important to all businesses is reducing risk and enforcing those IT standards across your organization. So that's kind of the platform. And then we look at, okay, those market forces, bringing in integrations through that open ecosystem. So you can see here the breadth of integrations that we work with for VMware Aria Operations, from apps, custom integrations. I should mention we have a management pack builder that is no code required. Even I could do it. And able to bring in data from your custom applications into VMware Aria Operations. We have a great integration for ServiceNow under CMDB and a few others that has a two-way sync. So you turn an alarm off in one, it's going to turn that off in the other. And really, this is where over the years, so many of our customers have talked about the power of VMware Aria Operations and expanding that ecosystem to include everything else. And we have put a lot of focus on continuing to expand ways that customers can integrate. So let's take a look, and I don't want to steal too much of Yogita's thunder here, because I think, the new Launchpad is really exciting. But I wanted to give you a quick peek before she gets into it to talk about, to just show you the Launchpad for the tool, where it's, really use case based. So it's more about your experience as a customer as opposed to, drilling you right into specific metrics or dashboards that, depending on what you're doing when you log in, we want to be able to give you an easy way to jump in. So you can see here, we still have our pillars of observability, capacity management, cost management, compliance, sustainability. And again, I'll say I don't want to take too much away from Yogita. So with that, I'll say stop, demo time, and hand things over to Yogita.
Thanks for that, Peter. So, hey everyone, my name is Yogita, and today I'm going to talk to you about the new Launchpad in VMware Aria Operations. What you see on your screen today is what VMware Aria Operations Quick Start menu used to look like. The way the earlier version was split up was into the different pillars of operation, allowing you to get to the different places of interest quickly from the home page itself. The page also was able to take you to your TVS suite or any other learning options that are available to the doc pages, or even a cloud management assessment if you were interested in that. However, the development team has kind of kicked it out of the park, I would say, for this new Launchpad. What you see on your screen today is what it looks like in the most recent version of VMware Aria Operations. There's a little panels at the top that tell you of any actions that need immediate attention from your infrastructure admin. And if you can see, the way the page is laid out is in the different cards, which are representing the different pillars of operation. Or you can quickly and easily access your business applications. So if you were doing endpoint monitoring for your web applications, this is where you would get. So with each of these cards, so for example, if you were to go into capacity, you can see that the capacity card took you to the capacity page, where it further drills down into different facets of capacity, whether you were simply trying to assess capacity, if you're trying to optimize your infrastructure, or if you're trying to do some future workload planning and migration for what your infrastructure needs to look like down the line. Now, if you can see that each of these cards comes with a view and a learn more button. Now, this view button, if it is enabled, you have permissions to see the contents of this card. If it is grayed out, which means that you simply need to ask your administrator for more permissions so that you are able to view the details of this card. The learn more is something that allows you to see what this card is all about, gives you a detailed look into what it is you can do with the contents of this card. In addition to this Learn More button, at the top of every page as well, we have a Learn More drop-down. Now, this drop-down shows you the different details of capacity itself within VMware Aria Operations, and what each of these cards does, and what capacity planning in VMware Operations, or VMware Aria Operations allows you to do. So going back to the launch page, there is more to the launch page than just the pillars of operation or monitoring your business application. If you were infrastructure admin and trying to monitor your traditional VMware infrastructure, this new Launchpad makes it very easy to get to the different pieces of your infrastructure. If it was not your intention, but you had different flavors of VMware Cloud in your infrastructure, or native public cloud in your infrastructure, you can easily get to those right from here. So if you click any one of these cards, it takes you to the details of that card. And again, if these buttons don't highlight, and if you click here, it doesn't take you anywhere, it means you have insufficient permissions, which you can ask your administrator to do. So at one click of a button, I was able to get to my inventory summary from within the Launchpad itself. So going back to the Launchpad, you can also do the same with your native public cloud infrastructure. So if you had AWS in one environment, it takes you to the multi-cloud overview AWS page and shows you how many accounts have been configured, as well as gives you the details of the top services in your AWS structure. In addition to that, it also shows you the top services and an alerts grouped in. So again, something that allows you to quickly and easily give you a state of your AWS environment. The GeoMap also shows you where your accounts are physically located. This page, the multi-cloud overview page, is having a set of cards at the top, and each of the cards represent a specific cloud type, and clicking each of these will get you the details of that. Or you can also launch them from your Launchpad. Now, in addition to these, the Launchpad also makes it very easy for you to get to scheduling automated jobs, setting up outbound plugins, getting to your content repository, or simply getting to the developer center to look at some powerful developer tools that VMware Aria Operations enthusiasts or VMware staff has developed for the use of your VMware Aria Operations users. So this gives you a quick look into what the Launchpad is about. Now I would like to call out a new page. So this is what the sustainability page looked like before, and you can get to the different pieces of sustainability by looking at aging hardware, power of VMs. But the new Launchpad takes it even a step further. So by clicking your sustainability pillar, it gives you a quick look at the new sustainability dashboard that is there, allowing your infrastructure administrators and your CIOs to get a quick look at what your current infrastructure green score looks like, what your power consumption is, what is your carbon footprint, and what is your overall environmental impact, allowing the CIOs and the infra admins to check if you are on path with your sustainability goals or if you need to take some corrective actions. And of course, the green score is a direct reflection of the utilization in terms of power and compute and storage that you that you're utilizing in your infrastructure that is being used in your company. So I hope this kind of gives you a quick look at what the Launchpad is all about. Now, one other thing I'd like to call out is the cost. The cost pillar of operation, where you have similar type of cards, like I mentioned, for capacity. And for each of these costs, so if you look at total cost of ownership, and the total cost of ownership, the page is kind of laid out like the multi-cloud overview, where it gives you a quick look at the total cost of ownership of your different clouds. You can select the different type of clouds, accounts that you have configured, to take a look at what your total cost of ownership is for that particular cloud type. Same goes for from a compliance perspective as well. So if you are trying to monitor and remediate compliance, that is also a page that is similarly laid out, where you can select the type of cloud account and it shows you the details in terms of compliance for your cloud account. Hope this kind of gives you a quick look and gets you really excited about the new Launchpad as we are. One thing I like to call out is that for some of the older pages, the links at the top look a little different than they do. So for example, if you were to go into cost, at the top you see the Launchpad costs. When you go into the details of that, those links are not there. Or if you go to, say, Automation Central, which is an older UI page, it is just being bubbled up to the top for easy access for the administrator. Those links are absent at the top. This feature is a work in progress, and as the feature evolves, those links will come, just like they are for some of these newer pages that exist. So just like these links exist for some of these newer pages that are developed, those links will also be shown for the older pages, in case you're wondering why don't see these at the top. So just thought I'd call that out a little bit. And as always, if you have any feedback about this feature, the development team is very keen on hearing your feedback and making changes as the user community requires it. So thanks for your time. And now I'd like to hand it off to Tim for the next set of the demo. Thanks.
So today I want to talk about the Aria Operations for Applications Management Pack. Today I'm playing the role of an infrastructure admin that comes with my own goals and challenges to overcome. I'm expected to reduce our operating costs, increase efficiency, and leverage our investments while maintaining our SLAs across private clouds, public clouds, and any sort of container platforms, in this case, Kubernetes. Now, as far as challenges come, I really don't have a great way to correlate my infrastructure with containers or with native public cloud environments, in this case, again, Kubernetes, and that makes it difficult to kind of deduce or find out what layer of the stack I might be having any sort of challenges with. So what we've done is created a management pack that can be installed into VMware Aria Operations that will connect up to Aria Operations for Applications and kind of be able to go back and forth between the two platforms, launching in context as I go. So I can see all of my infrastructure in Aria Operations, whether that's running on a VMware stack, whether it's running on native public cloud, and I can switch and go into Aria Applications and see that information and launch in context. So it kind of goes bi-directionally, so I can launch back from Aria Apps into the troubleshooting workbench when I'm back in operations. Now, so this just kind of reiterates those points. It's bi-directional visibility. We can go in context, giving us views then of our infrastructure as well as our applications. So I'm going to jump into a demo here. Let me go ahead and get into my demo environment real quick. All right, so jumping into the integrations page in Aria Operations, we see we have our management pack installed, our Aria Operations for Applications management pack. And if we look, we've got one account already set up. Let's take a look at that configuration real quick. Fairly easy to set up. All we need to do is put in the URL for Aria Operations for Applications. And we need to get a token from Aria Operations for Applications, put in and name a credential name. Pretty simple to set up. Under advanced settings, we do have a couple options. We can put in our Aria Operations URL so we can get those bi-directional links, as well as down at the bottom here, enable external links. That's from the application side, Aria Operations for Applications, I should say. We can also then set up custom prefixes, determine if we want pod collection enabled or not. We've got our pod retention time, query timeouts, and also the adapter memory limit as well. So let's take a look at some of the out-of-the-box dashboards real quick. We'll just do a quick harbor tour here and then kind of jump into a real-world scenario where you can utilize this management pack to solve a real-world challenge. So for dashboards here, there are a few dashboards that do come out of the box with this management pack. First of which we'll look at is the overview page. So this is the K8s overview. And what this is going to give us is a list of our clusters at the top. We can see our alerts. We then get all the information that goes along with it underneath it, right? The associated namespaces, as well as summary for those namespaces, the nodes and a summary for those nodes, any alerts on the nodes, as well as the relationships that come along with that. So all the pods, the virtual machine or EC2 instance if we're running on EKS, and then all the pods and related pod alerts come along with that. And as we change the cluster, each of these widgets on the dashboard will then flash, switch, and now we'll get all of the information, the namespaces, nodes, and pods associated with that particular cluster. If we wanted to look deeper into the clusters themselves, we can go to the K8s clusters dashboard. So now we have, again, a list of our clusters. We get our alerts and alert volume, and then we get the relationships and related infrastructure that goes along with our clusters here. If I click on an object down below, I can start to see some of the summary then for that particular object that we can look at. If I click on one of those, we'll then get the metrics below. In this case, I just clicked on CPU utilization, so we can dive further into that if we need to. Jumping to K8s alerts, this is just going to give us all of the alerts. So instead of starting from a cluster like we had previously on some of the previous dashboards, now we can start then and look at the alerts themselves rather than starting at a cluster. So we're going to get that infrastructure again, anything that's related to it. We're also going to get the alerts for anything related to that particular alert that we had selected up above. And below we also get the same information we had before. So depending on what object we've clicked on, we can then get metrics for that particular object. And lastly, looking at the K8s nodes or Kubernetes nodes dashboard, we have all of our nodes instead of clusters selected here, so we can select a node. We'll get all the pods associated with that node. It'll be linked by node and also by the namespace as well, and so we can kind of see everything that node is associated with. Again, related infrastructure, always helpful to see everything that's related to a particular object. And then for our node information, our node metrics, we have down below, if we click on any of these metrics, they'll be displayed in the metric chart, which allows us to dive deeper there, or use metric correlation, because now that these objects are coming in, we're bringing them in from Aria Operations for applications, we can now take advantage of the features here that Aria Operations has, such as metric correlation, or as I'll show in a minute, the troubleshooting workbench as well. Now we could also take a look at briefly at these dashboards within the documentation for the product. So this will go through all of the dashboards that we just took a look at. It also has a list of the objects we're bringing in, the relationships that are being made, the alerts that are being brought in, as well as all of the metrics and the associated wavefront query language or the query itself that we can use to find those if we wanted to look at directly at those metrics in Aria Operations for applications. So it goes through each of those objects and all of the metrics that are being collected. Of course, this also has information in the documentation of how to install, how to configure, which we just went through, as well as any of the system requirements we need. This is at this point only supported on the SaaS version of Aria Operations, and will give us the version we need for our Kubernetes integration on the Aria Operations for applications side as well. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at a bit of a real-world scenario now, and we'll kind of show how this integration would work in combination with Aria Operations and Aria Operations for applications. So as an infrastructure admin, we might get some sort of notification a number of different ways that there's something going wrong, or we might have some challenges to face. We might have some sort of a Slack notification set up where we can get information coming from Aria Operations, maybe through Slack notification, so we can go check directly from our alerts in Slack, something like that. Or we might have something set up with our CMDB or our ticketing system. In this case, we might have something from ServiceNow that is letting us know, hey, this our user is stating our application is crawling a bit, or maybe won't respond. So we've got a combination of things we might need to look into, both from the Slack notifications or directly from ServiceNow. Let's go ahead and launch into from that alert, and we'll look at what that alert is telling us about. All right, so we've launched directly in here to our Kubernetes node. So we see our node that we're looking at. In this case, looks like it is on EC2 instance, or we're looking at an EKS here. And so we can look at all of the alerts directly from our summary page. We can see there's quite a few things that are talking about the node, some things on pods that are running in this node. And we can look and see, I see a lot of information having to do with memory usage, so we can look at our memory. We can also switch to our alerts tab and look at alerts that way that are coming in, or we can look directly at our metrics here. Now we get, since we're bringing these objects in and we're correlating with the related infrastructure, we can see that EC2 instance. If we expand it out, we get to look further directly at the infrastructure there, or we could look at all of the pods that are here with this on this particular node. Since we were looking at or talking on our memory or having any sort of memory challenges, we can look and pull out those metrics individually here. Let's look at our memory utilization. At this point, it's hovering for the most part between 52 and 54. So it doesn't look like anything is going on with that particular node. It doesn't appear that we're having any sort of infrastructure challenges, at least at this point. Of course, like we mentioned before, we could go ahead and use metric correlation there, see if there's any other metrics that might be having challenges either within the same node itself or within its peers. Or we could go and launch directly into the troubleshooting workbench. Since this is an object we're bringing in directly into Aria Operations, we can utilize those tools we have available to us again. So I'm looking at our events, and I see we're getting some things that are maybe outside of our dynamic thresholds that we've set. A few things are located outside those thresholds, so we got some random events coming in, maybe not random. We've got some property changes, just some looks like IP address changes. Not too much happening on the properties that have been changed. We also looking at anomalous metrics, and these are metrics that are drastically changing the overall average for a certain time period. And I don't see any anomalous metrics here. So again, it doesn't appear that what we're looking at, or we're looking for in this case, has anything to do with our infrastructure. The infrastructure looks like it's okay. If we wanted, we could change our scope out and see and just add a few more pieces of that infrastructure, maybe the subnets, the VPCs on the AWS side. Again, this is running an EKS. So we could add a few things and see if there's any alerts and add the region in and expand our scope and see if that really changes anything. Again, I'm seeing a few things on events. We've just got a change in the overall number of EC2 instances, but that doesn't look like it's causing any sort of issue. A few things we had already looked at there on the events. Nothing more on property changes came in there, and still nothing on our anomalous metrics. So again, all of this is pointing in the direction that it doesn't appear that we're facing any sort of challenges on the infrastructure. We are getting quite a few alerts. Our users are stating that we are having some challenges as far as the application, the overall application is concerned. So something we probably want to go ahead and check out. Not here in operations, because we've done the necessary investigation on the infrastructure side. But we can jump over using our little actions button here. We can jump from this node, our EKS node, and we can jump directly then into Aria Operations for Applications, and it will grab that same node we were looking at, that same EC2 instance associated node we were looking at, and now we're into Aria Operations for Applications. So we can see some of the same information that we were looking at before, our CPU usage, our memory utilization, some network information as well, our uptime by the node. So we can see some of the same information, but I know we've also got our source alerts turned on here. And so if I hover over any of these charts, we can see they're red, letting us know there's some sort of error or some sort of alert that is coming in there. If I hover over this little dot in the corner, we can see we've got something in our EKS, our OTel demo there, or OTel broken application. We can see that something is going on there. We've got unavailable replicas we'd want to check into. Now, originally, the alert we were looking at was based on our pod. We're looking at the node now. That's where we jumped to, because that's where we're at in our operations. But we can always look at our pods too. We can just jump to those pods that we're running. The same pods we were looking at in Aria Operations that were associated with this node. And then we can check and see if there's anything else we see that is out of the ordinary. And the first thing I'm seeing as I scroll down, I don't see any sort of failed pods, but I do see they're under pods pending. We do have some unschedulable pods here. So we have 0 of 2 nodes are available. There's too many pods. We've got insufficient memory. So we're definitely having trouble with those pods, and what is going on with those pods we need to look further at. So I'm going to jump to that application, the one we were looking at here, the EKS OTel broken. We'll jump to that particular application. I'm going to use the service dashboard and see what I can find out from there. I'll switch to that particular application here. And now I can see we've got a request rate. We've got 1.5 requests per second. That doesn't look like it's that out of the ordinary, maybe a little bit high, a little bit more than what it had been. But I also then see we've got our error rate is basically at 100%. We've got 100% errors here. We've got a lot of failed requests. It looks like HTTP GET requests that are coming in. And we've got durations that are lasting on our latency side for 30 seconds, sometimes up to sometimes over 2 minutes, it looks like. In this day and age, we really, users are looking for, split second response times. And if we're running 2 minutes, that's definitely going to frustrate our users, and no one's going to stick around and use our application. So that we've got these failed requests, and that's something we probably want to look at. Both we've got GET and POST requests, a lot more GET requests here than we do POST. Let's take a look at those GET requests. It's going to bring in our service. We can look at all of our traces here and all of the different traces that are happening. Let's look at the first one and see if we can find anything. We're also going to get the same information here, of course, that we were just looking at. Now, if I open up the load generator service, or open up this service, I can then look through and get our tags and check into what our tags are here. And if I look, yep, okay, we've got a 503 error there. We've got too many requests. And if I look further below, we've got a max retry error there. So we're trying to, from what it looks like, we're trying to schedule these pods. We're trying to spin up some pods on our application, but we're trying to spin up too many of those. It looks like we've just got too many spun up, and we're basically hammering on the ones that are spun up, but aren't able to spin anymore. So it's telling me, we've definitely, I would say, have some sort of error in our configuration. It's possible we have some sort of configuration error there. Let's look at the log traces as well. If we look down here, we can see same kind of thing we were looking at, the max retries here. Let us know kind of what is going on or what is happening with that. So from here, my guess for this particular or all of these errors that we're having is that again, we're trying to spin up new pods, but we're unable to do so because possibly because we have a natural affinity for a certain node, and so we don't want to talk to our Kubernetes admin, see if that's the way our configuration is set up, so that all pods have to be potentially spun up on one node, and that's why it's having those difficulties. So that kind of lets us know we had insufficient memory because of those trying to spin up too many pods. Now, for whatever reason, we got to this point and we didn't find what we needed to find, or didn't find our resolution. And I think we did in this case. We can at least take a look at our configuration and see if that is the case, where we're trying to spin up all these pods on one particular node. We could always then, I'm just going to jump to our dashboard here, our Kubernetes nodes dashboards, because for many of these charts on this dashboard, we can also use, we can right click and go back to Aria Operations. We can use this external links. We're going to create these external links, and if we look at the node we're on at the moment, which is it is OCP, or actually any of these nodes we wanted to look at. So if we were looking at EKS, which is what we were looking at before, we can find that node we were looking at, and we can use that external link to jump back into the troubleshooting workbench on the Aria Operations side, and we'll launch us back into that same node we have been looking at for the duration of this demo. So we can go again back and forth until we find the solution to the challenge we're having.
Thanks, Tim. Man, I think this is a really exciting release from VMware with Aria Operations for Applications. I'm just really excited about all that we have coming. So Yogita, Tim, thank you both for the great demos. I do like to mention these slides because I want to make sure that everyone remembers who they're working with here, and that's the trusted leader according to, IDC, Forrester, Omdia. In addition to these three, VMware Aria was recognized by Gartner Peer Insights for the Customer's Choice Award for IT infrastructure monitoring tools. So head over to the VMware Cloud Management site to dig into more information on any of these reports. And before I leave you and we get into the questions, I just want to say, give you this quote from Boris Stugart. VMware Aria Operations works smoothly without my influence. I get a message before an upgrade and then it happens automatically. A few minutes later, I get another saying everything's finished. I'm saving up to 10 hours a month on upgrades and troubleshooting. That's success to me. And so that is, my reminder to everyone out there that VMware Aria Operations is available as a SaaS option. It makes it so much easier. You're not managing your management by performing your own upgrades. Let us do that for you and stay up to date on everything that we've been talking about. If you are looking for some more resources, check out, I have a few different resources here. And as you can see, we've got the VMware Aria Operations product page. If you're looking to get a little more technical, you can deep dive with our technical experts and try out the product. We have the Tech Zone site here. We also have a YouTube channel. I think the easiest way to get there is, just go to YouTube and search VMware Cloud Management. And then we have, of course, the Cloud Management blog that is always, the first place to come out where you can find out about what's coming in the new releases and read about all the exciting things with Cloud Management. So with that, thank you to everybody who has joined us today. I so appreciate all of your time. I know there's many other things that you could be doing, but I appreciate the time that you take to be with us and to learn. With that, I think we'll take a look at some questions, and I'm just going to leave this slide up so that get those addresses if you need them. All right, let's take a look. There's quite a few questions here. Thank you for everybody that's submitted questions throughout the webinar here. So we'll start with a question for Yogita. There's a question that says, is there any feature from the previous version not available or deprecated with this new Launchpad?
Not at all, actually. The new Launchpad shows all the existing features and some more. And in fact, it kind of makes some of the hidden features more visible and easily available to you with fewer clicks than before. So all the older menus are still active. We just have bubbled up some of the features that are most widely used by our customer base into the Launchpad for easy access. Hope that helps.
Yeah, I think everybody will see once they get into the new Launchpad that it really is kind of a comprehensive spread of everything that you'd need to get kind of start out with. So,
indeed.
All right, next question. Does VCF Operations here replace the SDDC management pack?
No, actually, it kind of takes it to the next level. You still need to configure your SDDC MP for the VCF Operations page to work. And once you do that, you can actually get to all the newer pages of VCF operations, the multi-cloud overview, the details of VCF operations once the MP is configured. So the MP, once configured, kind of takes advantage of the ARIA operations takes advantage of the SOS tool that VCF uses to bring you all the details right within the ARIA Ops UI without you having to log into the command line and use the SOS tool.
Great. Next question for Tim is, does the integration for ARIA applications work for on-prem deployments?
Yeah, it's a good question. So as of now, the integration only works for the SaaS version of ARIA Operations. ARIA Operations for Applications is a SaaS-only platform already, meaning we won't really be able to add an on-prem deployments there. For future versions of the integration, we might take a look at on-prem deployments on the operations side, but for now, it is only for the SaaS version of Vera's or ARIA Operations.
Okay. Next question, I think also for Tim, will there be more than just Kubernetes objects brought in for the future?
Yeah, another good question. So yeah, we did start off with just Kubernetes objects in this first release. We're definitely looking at bringing in some other objects that might be helpful. Things like the concept of bringing your applications, or coming in from the service dashboard in ARIA applications. So it is possible for the future that we would bring in other objects. Just wanted to start off with Kubernetes, as we know this is kind of the direction a lot of folks are going, and then we'll look at that. We'll look at that for future versions for sure.
Perfect. And on the subject of kind of that open ecosystem and bringing in information, just wondering if you can share a little bit more quickly about the, in the question it said no code management pack development, but the management pack builder that we have.
Yeah, for sure. The Management Pack Builder 1.0 was released some time ago, a few months ago. So that has been out for a little bit, meaning we can connect through or connect to APIs of various endpoints, as long as it's a REST API, and really build Management Packs out for whatever your endpoint is. Again, as long as it's a REST API, without writing any sort of code, it's all kind of set up much like a wizard is set up. So it's all kind of in the UI. You don't need to actually write anything yourself. You don't need to know any sort of language. The Management Pack Builder will do that for you on its own. Now that is, as I said, the 1.0 has been out for a while. We're actually going to be releasing sometime in the next couple of weeks a 1.1 version, and some more to come on that. I'll be getting a hold of that. We'll be updating all of our environments, and I'll be updating all of the videos on YouTube and putting out blogs and all that in the next couple weeks. So new version is coming. It's going to add some new features, change the UI a little bit. So if anyone is using the 1.0, the UI is going to change a little bit. And I think you'll see the reasoning behind that once I start putting out those blogs and the videos and all that good stuff to come. So more to come on that. That will be probably the next few weeks. I would say probably within the first couple of weeks of May. Start looking for those blogs and videos on our YouTube channel, the VMware Aria Cloud Management YouTube channel, and we'll make sure that everyone knows how to use 1.1, which is what the new release is, and therefore you'll be able to get all the good features in 1.0 as well.
All right, and one last question here, and reminder to anybody out there that has any more questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. And again, just thank you for taking the time and spending this with us today. There's a lot of other things that we know that you could be doing, so we always appreciate your time being spent with us, and we hope that it's been an informative session. The last question that we have is, how seamless is the upgrade from vRealize to Aria? And that's a great question because it's very easy. We announced Aria back in the fall at VMware Explore, and Aria is kind of bringing the products together from vRealize, and but from a simplification perspective, vRealize Operations, for example, the new name is vRealize Aria Operations. So there's a lot of new enhancements that's been put into it, but there's not that vRealize line anymore. So upgrading really is a pretty seamless process.
Just to add on that, Peter, as far as if you're on the cloud version of any of the Aria products, or what formerly vRealize products, that will be completely seamless, meaning you won't have to do anything. Just when those new versions get released or new updates come, that'll just happen automatically as far as that. As far as any sort of on-prem, anything that way, as soon as we release new on-prem versions, it will be just as if you were upgrading your version number from one to another anyway. So there's nothing special that needs to happen when it goes from vRealize to the Aria family. It just normal upgrade process.
All right, and with that, I don't see any more questions in the Q&A. But again, thanks for joining us, and we hope to be back with you again soon.